My father had dropped his caste surname in college. I only even became aware of my caste till much later, and then I had to ask my parents what caste was, what Nair was. In India, I can afford to employ a cook. I don't ask him, which community he's from. As long as he can cook well, I don't care.
So I was wondering, how has your own caste and experience with caste relations influenced your decision to write this book and how you approached writing this book?
Well, I was born to nationalist parents. My father had dropped his caste surname in college. In school, he wore it with pride. I could see his school books with Tharoor, Chandrasekharan Nair, TCS Nair written on some of his school books. But he dropped the Nair because Mahatma Gandhi had said that, caste is not a good thing to preserve in independent India and so on. And I went to school in Bombay where we had friends of every religion, every caste coming home to play, and never once did our parents ever mention, oh, that so-and-so, that Muslim boy, or that Hindu boy, or that Sikh boy, or whatever. It never came up. The question didn't arise, and that was what that nationalist generation believed in, that we had to rise above these distinctions that divided us and focus on our unity. I only even became aware of my caste till much later, and then I had to ask my parents what caste was, what Nair was, and so on. And that was a discovery. But I never let it influence my life, and nobody in my family chose to consciously to sort of remain within caste boundaries when it came to marrying or anything else. And all three of us, I have two sisters and I, married outside our caste. So I come from a certain caste that, or a certain background, if you like, of being oblivious to caste issues. I wrote a piece about this and was promptly rebuked by an 18-year-old Dalit blogger saying, don't you realize that obliviousness to caste is itself something only available to the privileged? And that I, as a Dalit, could never afford to be unaware of my caste. The second episode of this nature that I had was in my political career as representative, as a member of parliament from Thiruvananthapuram. I had been similarly inclined in recruiting people to my office and so on. I just looked at their merits, their CV, the way they spoke at an interview and so on. I never, ever inquired about their caste. And then I was accused of having stacked my office with people of a particular caste. And I had not even thought about it. So I quickly checked all their castes. And fortunately, the rebuke was wrong. One of them was from an underprivileged caste. But the fact still was that the majority weren't. And I then had to very consciously go out of my way. I mean, I had, in fact, a Muslim and a Christian on the staff. But the Hindus apparently were majority from one particular caste, and I had to quickly undo that. Not undo that by firing anybody, but by simply redressing the balance. I wouldn't want people to be fired because of the accident of their birth either, especially if they're doing a good job. I think today in Indian politics, you have to be caste conscious. Parties give tickets to candidates with an eye on the caste composition of a particular constituency. Such and such a place in Kerala, you really need a Christian candidate, or in such and such a place, you need a Muslim candidate, or a Dalit candidate, of course, is reserved seats. And I never thought that way, and I'm learning that it's impossible. Even if you don't think that way, others who are important to your political life will think that way. So that's the answer. It's not a satisfactory answer because it shows that I came into this in some ways unprepared. But I have learned as I've spent time in this profession.